everyone. Welcome to Pearls of Innovation, where we explore people, processes, and the tools behind product innovation. I'm your host, Nolan Myers. My guest today is Jeanne Bradford, co-author of the book Innovate Products Faster. And today we're going to explore graphical tools to accelerate product development. Welcome, Jeanne.
Thanks for having me.
So how would you describe the insight behind applying graphical tools to accelerate product development?
In our consulting practice, we had several tools to help organizations deliver products to market faster. And what we realized is if you can draw a picture of the problem you're trying to solve, it's much, much easier to get people aligned and focused on the true problem. Imagine sitting in a meeting and everyone's staring at a spreadsheet full of data, and you're trying to sort through and figure out what's the important information here.
You know, when I think about applying graphical tools, one of the stories that always comes to my mind is the Challenger disaster of 1986. The Challenger exploded in January 28th, and it broke apart 73 seconds into flight, killing all 7 crew members. It was a very cold day in the Kennedy Tower. And the Morton Thiokol engineers knew that this was risky, but they were overruled by NASA management, who disregarded their warnings. Edward Tufte famously used one of the charts that was used by the engineers to show how much information was missed in the visualization and explore a hypothetical what if it had been told a little bit differently. They used this chart here that showed the previous 7 incidents where there had been failed attempts at launching the shuttle. And it plotted these 7 things along the axis of temperature on the bottom and the number of incidents that they experienced up at the top. But the management found this inconclusive. What happens if you look at this same visual and add in all of the data around the times when there were successful launches? So now we're zooming out at this same data. This is the data that we looked at before, but now it shows all of the successful launches. And one of the things that becomes immediately clear in here is that all of the successful launches took place at above 65 degrees. Below 65 degrees, everything was a failure. And it just makes it so clear that there was a near 100% chance of failure if you're going to launch in the target temperature range. There is absolutely no test data anywhere close to the forecast temperature for where the Challenger was actually going to launch. So I think that this is one of the most compelling stories I've ever heard of the power of data visualization and how it can be used to both get powerful insights and be able to drive people to action.
That's a great example.
Well, thank you. That tees us up to really talk about ways that we can apply some of these graphical tools in product development. And I know you've written so much about this, so tell us a little bit about what you would like to share.
There's 3 tools. So we're going to start with the first tool for strategy in helping you choose the right products. And then we're going to move to another tool around predictive metrics that shows you really how managing change by measuring behavior is a secret weapon for companies. And then the last one is going to be around schedule prediction accuracy. And all 3 of those have a lot of data swarming around them to make decisions. So we'll talk about how you can take the right data to make better decisions and prevent bad things from happening. So we'll start with the product radar chart. The product radar chart is a visual tool that allows organizations to evaluate product opportunities and make powerful decisions on which products deliver the most customer value. And the heart of this tool, you can see it's a circle. And really the organizing principle for product selection is customer value. So we put that at the top of the wheel. Then the tool identifies 10 of what we found to be the most useful elements in evaluating products to evaluate each element on a 0 to 10 scale. In this example, the team evaluates 3 products. And visually, you can see that product 1, the green, it's obvious that in every element except core competency, it rates higher. So that would be like the best product to invest in if you could mitigate your core competency.
And what does it mean that core competency is scoring lower in this example?
There might be a product opportunity and it has strategic value and customer value. You can get it to market faster than you can the other ones. There's competitive sustainability. But there's something in your competency of the company that is not adequate or is diminished compared to the other products. So you might have to do an acquisition to bring in a company that has that skill set. But by looking at this picture, you can say, wow, this could be a great product for us if we could mitigate the core competency. And then instead of arguing about which one of them is the best product, you can focus the conversation of, well, how would we do that?
That's a powerful example.
Shall we move on to the next one? This is a predictive metrics tree. And predictive metrics are not well known and understood. The predictive metrics tree is a powerful tool to make sure that you're managing change by measuring behavior in order to reach your organizational goals. Most organizations measure all kinds of results metrics, but predictive metrics lets you uncover what's preventing you from achieving your goals and allows you to measure that early and be an early warning system in case you're not making progress. This is a real life example. And I think the predictive metric would be stunning to most people. So this is a small pre-IPO startup company, and their goal is to secure funding. And in order to do that, they need to release the software and start a revenue ramp. One of the key drivers is to scale their staffing. We don't have enough people to be able to deliver this product on time. So the initiative is hiring. We need to hire 10 people. And then the predictive metric is the number of resumes screened per week by the hiring manager. So a screened resume is a qualified resume that the hiring manager, not the recruiter, but the hiring manager screens X number of resumes a week in order to get to this outcome. And the real life situation with this is hiring managers were just struggling because they didn't have enough people, but they didn't feel like they had time to actually interview people. So when we made that the predictive metric, the behavior we needed to change was you need to invest time in screening qualified candidates. Because if you don't do that, you'll never hire anybody or enough people on time.
I can see how that leads so directly to specific outcomes that you need to change. Focusing in on the resume then shows that it's actually important for the manager to take their time and put that time into being directly engaged in finding the candidates that they need. So Jeanne, tell me about the schedule prediction accuracy chart.
Oh, I'd love to. It's one of my favorite tools. The schedule prediction accuracy chart is a visual representation of a team's execution of the agreed upon development schedule compared to how they actually execute over time. It's organized by milestones and it shows progression by milestones. It's basically an XY scatter plot. So a perfect schedule is all the milestones have horizontal lines until they intersect with the black line. And so where this tool becomes useful, as you update the schedule over time, holding the initial schedule fixed, which is the horizontal line, then you can see on 1/1/25, this milestone was hit, but now we know here that this milestone has slipped and milestone 3 has slipped. So this chart opens the conversation for problem solving. When that problem solving doesn't occur and it's more like just make that date, this is typically what happens. Eventually, M2 will cross its finish line and that milestone is complete. Eventually, look at milestone 3. It continues to sneak up, eventually hits its done date. But look what happened to actually launching the product. Once, you have no more wiggle room to mitigate the problem, then it just delays the whole delivery. So the lesson from this is, if you use this as an early warning sign, you draw a picture of the problem we're trying to solve. It allows for making better decisions faster to salvage a product delivery plan.
Great. And I can see here, one of the patterns that's very dangerous is month by month slip. So when you start seeing these two lines in parallel, it shows that you no longer have any predictive capability. It means that as soon as you get closer to the end date, you realize that you need to slip.
That's exactly right. And just the summary of this is when you started out, you thought you had an 18-month project. And by the time you shipped the product, it was a 2-year product. So the impact on delayed revenue recognition, the increased expense, all those things are critical factors in organizations meeting their product delivery goals.
Jeannie, thank you so much for being with us today. I appreciate your time and I appreciate you sharing your insights with us.
Well, thank you for having me. I hope you can tell that graphical tools as a way to assist in better decision making is a passion for mine, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it and share it with your audience.